Welcome back to Buried. Now, I'm going to try to finish this up here today. I did 50 minutes on the last one, and this game's about 2.5 hours long, so this one's going to be a little bit longer. So, let's just get into it. Now, the last one, we ended off, we had the encounter with the guy in the bunker, and I unexpectedly whooped his whole entire ass, and I took his gun, and now we're in the elevator. So let's get it. Before I get into the elevator with this guy, I think it's wise to learn a bit more about him. I can tell it's making him uncomfortable for me to have the gun. What's your name? I ask. Marcus. And you work here? It's clear that he doesn't want to answer, but he gives us a little nod. We're looking for the rest of our crew. Any idea where they might be? I ask. No, he says curtly, not bothering to elaborate. There's got to be some useful info we can get out of this guy. I just need to know how to dig for it. I need a first aid kit for my friend here, I say. Where might I find one? Down on the second floor, he says, but we can't go down there. What's on level 2? He looks at me like I'm an idiot. You must be aware you're inside of a classified government facility, he says. It makes sense, but I want to doubt it. Well, I'm sure our government would want you to help me save my friends, so take me to the first aid kit. I can't, he says. You don't have clearance. Hell, I barely have clearance. Then, seemingly to himself, he mutters, I make this place run. And not even a thank you, just a bunch of restricted access rooms that I'm only allowed to go into with a friggin' chaperone. I interrupt his monologue. We're going to that first aid kit. I could lose my job, he says, squinting through the blood where I bashed him over and over. I wonder for a moment what sort of trouble I could get in for hitting a government employee, especially as hard as I did. Then again, he had come at us with a rifle. It makes me think that things would have gone terribly wrong in this place. And the explosion in the woods, or whatever the hell had happened, might be linked to it all. I need to convince him to take us to the second floor, but I'm not sure if it would be more productive to threaten him or to ask for sympathy. To ask for help, I just beat the piss out of him, and now he's trapped in an elevator with me. Look, I say, it doesn't have to be the best day, or it hasn't been the best day. We're just trying to find out what's going on, to find our crew, to survive. I know that this isn't a normal situation down here. It looks like all your protocol has been blown to hell. Can't you help us out? He looks at me sternly, weighing his options. Okay, he says. Thank you, I say. With an untrusting stare, Marcus walks to the elevator door, approaching a small keypad by the doors. He punches in a numerical code on the keypad, and we can hear a slight mechanical hum behind the steel doors. After a few seconds of angry glances and frightened sneers from Marcus, the elevator arrives. The steel doors slide open with a whisper, revealing the interior. It's exceptionally well lit and looks to be made of stainless steel. I half expect the thing to take off at the speed of light. There's another small keypad on the front right panel by the door with the options for 3 sub-level floors. Looks like this elevator doesn't go to the surface. So after we get a first aid kit for Dennis, how do we get out of here? I ask. We can't leave, Marcus says. Once the power came back on, the whole place is put on lockdown. What? I shout. Can't you override it? No. It's to prevent anything from getting out. I can't. Marcus looks as deflated as Dennis. We can't get out. We're stuck here. Dennis leans into the corner and almost falls onto the floor. The struggle for the rifle took a lot out of him. I can see that much in his face. Slowly we start to move down. The hum and grind of the car's motors fill the space. So we're stuck here forever? Marcus scowls at me. Scowls, something with something. I think it's a fair question. It doesn't seem unreasonable to assume he won't be able to get us out. We'll find somebody with the access codes, and they'll be begging for me to figure out how to lift the lockdown. These people think they're so brilliant, but some of them can barely run, or can barely turn their computers on without help. The top coder in my class at MIT, and I'm stuck living underground, helping idiots who don't even trust me with keys. What goes on here? Marcus shakes his head. May as well shoot me, I can't tell you. Why not? It's beyond classified, and the things I know don't even cover the start of it. What does that mean? I ask, starting to get irritated. It means that even if I wanted to tell you what sort of work is done here, I don't know enough about it. What's your job? I handle the IT work and make sure the databases are up and running. It's a 24/7 job. I haven't seen sunlight in almost a year. I wonder what staying in a place like this for that long would do to someone's mind. I was recruited, he continues, because of the workload. No one else wants this job. I really don't mind being by myself. No family. Plus the IT. Some crazy shit. Crazy how? I ask. This place generates over 100 terabytes of data per day, he answers, getting the slightest bit excited before his face falls again. What happened here? Seems like some sort of power outage, Marcus says. That's all I know. There was an outage and then what? Dennis asks weakly. Then things got weird. Things got bad. Bad how? I ask. The whole place seemed to shake when the lights went out. I was checking the monitors when it happened and everything went dead. It took no more than a minute or so before I started hearing the screams. People were getting killed by something. I tried getting the security cameras going again, but they only lasted for a little bit on my backup systems. But what I saw... What? I ask, feeling a sharp fear worm its way into my guts. Well, what I saw on the screens for that little bit of time made no sense. It made me get the gun from the emergency vault. I think whatever it is, it's still down here. Hold on, I say. There's an emergency vault with a rifle in the same room as the security cameras in this place? Marcus gives me a grin that looks nearly insane. There are guns locked away in every room in this place. Just in case, you know. So we're still in danger here? As he opens his mouth to answer, the elevator comes to a stop and the doors slide open. Marcus is out right away without a word. He makes his exit and heads directly for a glassed-in room that is filled with computer monitors and high-end equipment. Dennis and I file out behind him, trying to keep up. As we do, one very alarming question runs through my head. What the hell kind of government facility keeps loaded guns and emergency vaults in every single room? Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Alright, on to chapter 3. Curiosity. You and 61% of players ignored the warning sign and looked at the glowing reactor. Selflessness. You and 36% of players stayed back when Marcus was pointing it again with Dennis. Fuck. You and 35% of players kept hitting Marcus after he surrendered. Begin chapter 3. Holy hell. We follow Marcus into what I can only describe as a control room of sorts. There are countless computer screens, some of which are obviously coming back on from having been shut off. Everything looks extremely complicated, from screens filled with code and data to what is obviously a security system. It reminds me of a miniaturized version of the operations center in just about every space travel movie I've ever seen. Marcus is running from one screen to another, apparently looking for some pertinent bit of information. Where's the first aid kit? I snap at him. Marcus stops in his tracks, as if he has forgotten the whole reason for bringing us down here. Oh yeah, he says, rushing to the left side of the room. There, he hunkers down by an open panel in the wall, what I assume is the emergency vault from where he got the rifle. I peer into the vault. I want to see what's in that bitch. I peer over Marcus's shoulders into the vault he's opened. It's much larger than it looks from the outside. It's partially filled with file folders marked classified, a few rounds of ammo for the rifle, a peculiar plastic kit filled with syringes in a locked black box. As Marcus digs around, one of the folders slips open. For the split second it's open, I see a scanned document and a color photo. The photo shows a male corpse with its guts on the outside of its body, as if it has been turned inside out. There's also massive swelling on his head, almost like his skull is about to explode. Marcus slaps the folder closed, and then I turn my attention to one of the syringes. It's filled with a violet-colored fluid that, while rather pretty in color, looks deadly. Marcus finally pulls out the first aid kit and turns around. When I look back to motion Dennis over, he's paler than ever. "Come on," I tell him, but he's not moving from the place on the floor where he sits against the wall. I slide the first aid kit over to him and go scrambling to his side. Between the struggle for the rifle upstairs and arriving in this room, he's faded fast. I struggle to lift his shirt up and then over his shoulders. As the dry blood holds it in place, the mere act causes him to grimace. "This might hurt a little," I tell Dennis. He only nods. He doesn't seem to care. Let's rip that bitch off. What is that, game altering? Figuring that the old rip off a band-aid metaphor applies here, I tear the shirt off of him quickly. Plus, I don't feel like we exactly have a lot of time. Dennis lets out a scream of pain and fury. "What the hell, man?" "Sorry," I say, casting the bloody shirt aside for a moment. Wincing in pain, he leans back against the wall and takes a series of deep breaths. His wound is more visible now, although it's partially hidden by the blood that he has started to clot around it. My medical knowledge is slim, basically just a bunch of basics I learned in Boy Scouts. I look over to Marcus hopefully and ask, "You have any training?" "Zero," he says. "Sorry." It's just as well, I guess. He's far too concerned with what's happening on the monitors to be much of a help anyway. I start by taking out several rolls of gauze within the kit and wipe as much blood as I can away from the wound on his side. It's even worse than I had figured from the start. The gash is deep and dark. I'm pretty sure it's infected too. He's going to need stitches, that's for sure. But I have no idea how to even start that. Besides, I don't see the tools for it in the kit. When I splash rubbing alcohol over the wound, he responds with a hoarse yelp of surprise, but nothing more. His eyes are locked on me and he looks appreciative, but he's also scared. "Be honest," Dennis says hopefully. "How bad does it look? Do you think I'll live?" "You'll be fine. No problem." "Good to know," he says, "because I sure don't feel like that." "You've been through hell," I say. "I think it feels worse than it actually looks." "Thanks. That's a relief." "I won't lie. You're going to have a scar," I say, trying to be funny. He chuckles a bit, but there's no humor in it. He rests his head against the wall and closes his eyes as I finish up. I place one layer of gauze against the wound and bind it with the medical tape. I then reinforce it with a second layer. I know it's meager, but it's all I can do. "Thanks, Roger," he says, actually managing to force out a smile. "I feel a lot better. I think I'll be fine." I'm not so sure about that, but I'm glad I was able to encourage him. Finally, I patch up the bruises on my head a bit, cursing myself again for not grabbing my hard hat. I look back to Marcus, and he is looking back at us, deep in thought. "Are these first aid kits all you have in this facility?" I ask him. "If there's something better, I don't know about it," he says. I noticed then that his defensive posture is no longer there. Something is different now. Just a slight change to his demeanor. He's seen something on those monitors that has him frightened, more than he already was before. "What is it?" I ask. "What's wrong?" His eyes travel around the room, and it's obvious that he's trying to decide whether or not to tell me the truth. "Just get up and look at the monitor yourself." Rather than wait for him, I get up and scan the screens behind him, seeing if I can find any clues I had missed moments ago. After a few moments, I see a few things that even I can comprehend hidden in the complex information on most of the screens. On one screen, I see what looks like a power meter that is slowly climbing upwards. A single message is flashing beneath it. It reads, "Unexpected power failure, foreign entity." Another message twinkling along the bottom of a black screen that says, "Safety locks on level 3. Containment doors engaged. Override." I see still scenes on a few other screens that I assume are security cameras showing hallways and passages from elsewhere in the facility. One of them shows the first level hallway we were on just a few minutes ago. Another shows a hallway I don't recognize. The floor is covered in blood. From just off the screen, I see what I think might be a human body, but it's bent in an impossible way. Looks like the body's legs and torso have somehow been merged or melted into the floor. What happened to that person? I have no idea. I didn't see it, he says. Whatever happened to that guy must have happened in the last minute or so. What the hell? I ask. There's something still happening. Are we still in danger? He turns away, clearly fearing he has already said too much. And as bad as that is, there's a scene on another monitor that makes my blood go cold and my fear spike to levels somewhere near terror. The scene is very familiar. It's the logging site. The equipment is unmistakably mine. I can even see my truck. Something like fury starts to rise up in my guts, momentarily pushing aside the fear. For a moment I consider just tearing into him, a few punches and a shove against the wall, nothing more. I want answers, and I want them now, but I'm not sure which would provide more answers, asking calmly or kicking his ass. I've already kicked his ass once. Could you please explain to me why you've been spying on my crew? My anger is prodding at me, and I have to hold it back again. It's near the surface, demanding a release. It was part of my job, mine and a few others. Your crew has been watched ever since you set up your equipment. Why? Because you're working with heavy equipment, some of which digs into the ground, less than a mile from a secret government facility. I had no idea of that, I say. How could I have known? Marcus gives me the same crooked, trembling smile that is beginning to creep me out. Because those things would draw attention to this place, he says. You have no idea how secretive this facility is. Besides, I know that the higher-ups looked into it. Your site isn't on government land. It's shy by about 300 yards. Every piece of your equipment is on private property. The timber tract you purchased from Mr. Gladstone 2 months ago. So even if we wanted to intervene and keep your crew away, we couldn't have without stirring up a fuss. The fact that someone with such a low-level clearance knows this much about my logging crew is unnerving. If you've been watching us, why didn't you recognize us when we met in the hallway? I ask. He shakes his head and exhales, like it's obvious. The cameras have a bird's eye view. I can't see faces. We just track bodies and names. So where the hell is my crew? Look, Marcus says, all of you were on site as usual before the incident. It had been a few hours since I had checked, though. I can tell he's starting to get rattled by this interrogation. He continues with his eyes fixed on the keyboard. They might have come near the facility, or maybe not. I don't know. I'd tell you if I did, okay? Well, are they inside the facility? I shout. You have cameras everywhere, right? Look for them. Marcus puts his hands up defensively. I've been looking all over and I haven't seen your crew. But, he adds, the lower levels don't have any cameras. Classified. I'm not sure how they would have gotten there, but it's a possibility. I'm still shocked that we are being watched. Do they know everything about us? I'm telling you, Marcus said. The depth of influence in this facility goes deep. There are 36 employees down here. Outside of those employees, only 5 other people know this place exists. Ask calmly. What do all these people do here? I ask, keeping my voice level. He doesn't even pause to consider if he should go any further. He actually laughs when he gives me the answer. I honestly don't know everything, probably very little, but what I do know is that it is more than black ops. What does that mean? I ask. There are scientists here who have been disowned by their own governments because of the nature of their work. You get it now? I don't. Not at all. But I don't want him to know about that. You said there are 36 employees, I say. Where are they now? He shakes his head. As far as I know, everyone else is gone. Gone where? He points to the screen that still informs us of the unexpected power failure and cringes. If this power failure was not corrected in time, there's no telling. But they're here in the facility somewhere, right? I ask, hoping someone will be able to help Dennis better than I can. I just don't know, Marcus says. They could be anywhere. Look, I say, furious with the way he is talking in riddles. I don't "Oh, God," Dennis says. I look over at him, and he looks as pale as a ghost. He stood up, and his eyes are locked on the monitor closest to him. "What?" I ask. He simply points to the monitor and looks away. I look at the monitor and see the logging site, but more specifically, I see the overturned dozer and the leg sticking out from under it, wearing work boots, right where I left him. Tony. The fact of his death seems abstract almost, like it happened in some other world or a very long time ago. "I know that you already told me he was gone," Dennis whispers, "but it's different actually seeing him. My God." Suddenly something blazes by the open door outside. The shape is fast and in shadow, but I'm pretty sure it's a person. "Someone else in here," Marcus says, wheeling around. He sounds very happy to discover this, so I try to follow his lead. If something bad happened at this facility, then surely the sight of another survivor is a good thing, right? "We should check it out," he says. I realize this isn't the best moment to leave Dennis after revisiting Tony's death all over again. Someone just ran by the door. I tell him, hopefully it's someone who can help us. "You gonna be okay?" "It's fine. Go see who it is," he says, giving me a mock thumbs up. I turn to Marcus and motion for us to head out to investigate. "Let's be careful," Marcus says. "Depending on who it is, they might not be as hesitant to shoot a stranger as I was." I nod at him, and I head for the door. I'm still holding the rifle in my hand, and I don't know if I have the guts to actually use it if needed. With a final look back to Dennis, I run out into the second-level hallway. Marcus follows. There is still fear in his eyes, but also the slightest glimmer of hope. That hope is contagious. We take off after the figure that just ran past the command center. Ahead of us, the facility presents yet another long hallway. Right away, I notice that this level of facility seems darker, even though the lights are now all on. The hallway is adorned with numbered yellow doorways and large white panels along the walls. It's clean and well maintained, but there's something ominous about it. Up ahead, I see the fleeting motion of something dark cutting quickly to the left, down a corridor. "There," I say quietly, pointing up ahead. Marcus gives a nod and we continue chasing after the person we saw blaze by the command center just moments ago. It then occurs to me that this person could be like Marcus was at first, armed and scared. Move towards them slowly. When we reach the intersection in the hallway where I had been where I had seen the shadow moving, I ease around the corner just in case. Sure, I have the rifle in my hands, but I don't want to use it unless I have to. I quickly dart around the corner and take the same shooting stance I've seen countless times on TV. There's a woman standing there, about 10 feet away. She has reddish blonde hair and a small, mousy build. She looks terrified and is visibly shaking. She's probably in her late 30s, wearing a lab coat with dark jeans and green Converse low tops. I have a strange sense that her fear is not just about our sudden presence. She looks like a woman who's been running scared for a while now. Her hands are raised in surrender. She's not holding a weapon. Marcus slowly approaches, taking a few steps ahead of me. "It's Amy, right?" he asks. She blinks, seemingly surprised that he knows her name. Yes, she says. "And you're Marcus." She nods absently and looks at my rifle. "I'm not going to use it." "Now how do I know that?" she asks. "You're trespassing on government property in the midst of a huge catastrophic event, and you have a rifle. How am I supposed to believe you?" "I have a friend back in the command center who needs medical attention," I say, "and we're looking for the rest of our crew." "I'm really sorry, but I don't know where they are," she says. "Do you know what's happened?" Marcus asks. "From the power outage." "I don't know what caused it," she says, "but there was an experiment taking place when the outage occurred. Something happened." She trails off here, giving me a look of distrust. "I saw things on the security monitors," Marcus says. "The experiment failed, didn't it?" I don't know the specifics," Amy says. "I barely escaped the third floor. I was going to go to the command center to see if the security footage showed anything, but then I saw you and the gun." Listening to their conversation, I'm feeling totally in the dark. Ooh, what's the experiment? Amy looks to me, her eyes wide and terrified. Who are you anyways, she asks. I quickly give her my story, a logger stranded in the woods following a peculiar explosion at the logging site. As I tell her, recognition blooms in her eyes. You're one of the loggers. Yes. She then looks to Marcus and says, I thought they were being watched. They were, Marcus says. This was a freak accident, and there's no proof that they were responsible. I feel myself wanting to submit to all questions that are piling up in my head, but Dennis is waiting for me. I want to know what's going on, but at the same time I want to help my friend. Shit. Piss, dude. Ask for more details. Why were we being watched, I ask. You're on privately owned land less than a half a mile away from a secret government facility, she answers. We had to make sure no one on your crew went wandering. How did you know we were cutting there? I ask. The people that work here know quite a lot, she says. If we needed to, we could know everything about your life within 10 minutes. This infuriates me to no end and makes me feel violated in some very odd way, but I have to push that aside for now. Right now, getting Dennis medical help and finding our crew is my top priority. Once he is taken care of, I could maybe get some answers. Look, is there any medical help to be had here or not? I ask. Probably, Amy says, but you'd have to find Colonel Barksdale. He knows where all of those sorts of supplies are. And where is he? Where's everyone else? I ask. At this, Amy starts to weep. She falls to her knees. Shit. Sorry. There we go. As if someone struck her from behind. Gone, she says. Some were killed and some were just... I don't know. They disappeared right in front of me. Disappeared? What do you mean? Yes, she answers. They were here 1 second and gone the next. Just... She snaps her fingers together for effect. Gone. Something's here with us, Amy says. We were conducting an experiment and it all went horribly wrong. Something came through. Came through what? Marcus asks. I don't even know that much. An entity? But whatever it is, it's still here somewhere, Amy responds. How could you not know? Don't you have full security access, I ask? No, I have access to almost everything, but there are 2 levels of security beyond my clearance. So what do you suggest we do now? I ask. I'm not sure, she says, wiping her tears away. But if you want to find your crew, we need to find Barksdale. He's in charge. Where is he? I ask. Down on the 3rd level, in the hangar. Then let's go, I say. It's not that easy, Amy says, again, looking to the rifle in my hands. Why not? Like I said, something came through when the power went out. There's several of them, all roaming the 3rd level. What came through? All I know is that the others referred to them as entities. Amy shudders as she recalls the horrors she has seen. I don't even know how to describe them. I didn't get a good look, she says. All I did was run for my life. Behind me I heard screams. I know it's not very scientific of me, but I didn't feel like sticking around to learn more. She's right, Marcus says, stopping my train of thought. The things I saw on the monitors, it was crazy. This is insane, I bark. I'm going to the 3rd level to find this Barksdale guy. Thanks for your help. Wait, Marcus said. I'm sticking with you. If we want to get out of here, we have to find Barksdale, right? Yes, Amy says, but Barksdale's on the 3rd floor. It's too dangerous to go back there. I figure I'll let them make their own decisions. In the meantime, I start heading back to the command center to get Dennis. Before I get there, I hear their footfalls behind me getting closer. I give Amy a questioning look and she quickly looks away, clearly torn. Neither one of you know your way around here, she says. Looking for Barksdale on your own would be suicide. Like it or not, she has a point. Fine, I say. Then let's get Dennis from the command center and head down together. We enter the command center. I'm happy to see that Dennis has regained some of its color. We're going to get you some help, I tell him, and then we're going to find our crew and get the hell out of here. More help would be great, he says. With the way you ripped my shirt off earlier, I'm not letting you touch me again. Wait, Amy says. Maybe one of us should stay here with him. I'll be okay, Dennis says. He stands to his feet with a grunt. You don't know what's out there, Amy says. I saw them. What the hell? Oh, damn it. Okay, let's try this one more time. You don't know what's out there, Amy says. I saw them. I saw what they can do. This facility is not safe. What can they do? Never mind, she says. Come on, we just need to be careful. Marcus looks a little hesitant, but he nods his agreement, and the four of us just exit to the command center. Heading back into the hallway, I look back to the monitors. I take a final look at the screen that shows my wrecked logging site and feel a pang of sorrow. Then I look to the other monitors showing live feeds of the facility security cameras. I try to tell myself that I'm not looking for any sign of Amy's creatures, but I can't. That's exactly what I'm doing, and there's no need to pretend otherwise. We head back through the hall and towards the elevator. The tension exits between us like a physical presence. We step aside the elevator, and those pristine doors close. Inside the elevator, Amy seems to become much more guarded and distant from us. I want to assure her that I mean her no harm, but I'm also not going to put the rifle down. So you have pretty high clearance in this place, right? I ask her. That's right. So what kind of experiment are we talking about? What went wrong? When she starts to answer my question, I can tell that it's something of a relief for her to get some of it off of her chest. There's been a lot of work on a project taking place here over the last 3 years or so. The purpose is to find out if there is any real viable science behind point-to-point instantation. Like teleporting, I ask? Oh my god, Marcus says. I had no idea. I knew there was some weird stuff here, but nothing this insane. It's really not all that insane, Amy says. We found our first major breakthrough about 9 months ago. We were able to transport a live rat from its cage on level 3 to a small lab in New Mexico. The trip took the rat 5 seconds. Are you kidding me? Dennis says. I can tell that he wants to sound as if he's mocking the idea, but he fails. He's scared. Not at all, Amy says. The problem was that when the rat arrived, its retinas were detached and its intestines were on the outside of its body. Alright, let's just get some small talk going. Just get this shit, just to smooth this out. Well, about 6 months ago, we successfully made that same experiment. The rat arrived in great health and this time in just 3 seconds. Still, one of the things that we needed to tweak in order to make this process completely safe was how to figure out how to keep the subject on a straight course. When the matter's being transported, not only are its atoms being unknit and then put back together upon arrival. Yes, deconstructed and translated through space. It's the only way we know how to do it right now. But the issue, as I said, comes in keeping the deconstructed subject on a straight course to its destination. When the process occurs, we are deforming spacetime. We are creating a shortcut through space, and that has risks. Why, exactly? Because there are many more dimensions in space than the 3 we exist on, she explains. There's some evidence that there are as many as 10. So when you send the rat to New Mexico, it's traveling through another dimension to get there, I ask? Basically. And because of that, we are trying to get a better understanding of what those other dimensions are capable of. Things that a great deal of the population would be scared of if they knew what we were doing. Hence all the privacy. Then today the power went out. As we were right in the middle of an experiment, something happened. What? I don't know. She's speaking with the authority of someone who knows what she's talking about. Is that why those creatures are here? Might be all those damn mice. That's my assumption, she says. It wasn't present for the experiment. I'm not clear for such things, but I do get the reports. What reports? Marcus asked. I'm given access to the results of the test. In other words, Marcus replies, clearly upset. You guys have been peeking into other dimensions and taking notes on what you see. I can't believe I've wasted my life for this, he murmurs to himself. He looks like he's starting to freak out. Amy's quiet. Her expression indicates that she's waiting to see how I react to all this. That is pretty cool. That is really cool. So this is like interdimensional stuff, I ask. In a way, Amy answers. Marcus, on the other hand, is incredulous. I don't want anything to do with this, he says. All this time I've been working for... He laughs cruelly, and at the sound of it makes my blood go cold for a moment. Just a single level beneath my feet, you assholes have been tearing apart space and time, Marcus continues. When the elevator doors open, I can't get out fast enough. The tension is growing way too thick for my liking. Outside of the elevator, we step out into what appears to be a massive industrial area. The carnage waiting for us is unlike anything I'd seen in the upper levels. Oh, what the hell? The area looks industrial, like everything was built for utility only. But more noticeable than that is all of the blood. My God, I've never seen so much blood. Those creatures must have had a field day. Holy shit, Marcus says, looking like a man that just awoke from a very bad dream. There were more personnel in this area when the experiment went haywire, Amy says, as if the explanation makes it all better. The research you all do down here had better be worth it, I say. We have to get moving, or we're going to lose our nerve. Amy, let's focus. Barksdale's in the hangar, I ask. If he's still alive, yes, that's where he'll be. Then let's hurry, I say. As far as I can tell, Dennis is doing much better, but I am beginning to grow tired of trying to keep my fear at bay. Between the blood on the floor and the silence of level 3 and Amy's talk with the lab rats, I'm getting freaked out. Amy, you know more about this building than me. Get the hell out. The four of us start walking ahead, Amy taking the lead. We stop walking when we come to the remains of what looks to be 3 different people. It is hard to tell how many bodies there were because they had been torn to shreds and are distorted. 2 of the bodies look as if they have been fused together. Another man looks to have had his leg welded through the floor. I can see this man's face. He died in an abject state of horror, his mouth pried open in an eternal scream. Keep moving. It's simply too much. More than that is the fact that we have just started our journey through level 3. If there is worse waiting up ahead, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. Dennis steps up beside me, and when he speaks, his voice is soft and flat. What in the hell could do that to someone? The things I saw, Amy answers, they could do it pretty easily, I think. She looks pale, and I think that she may pass out any moment. Tears spill from her eyes and is visibly shaking. But she soldiers on, looking back to me and stepping to the side of the gruesome carnage. Her eyes again go to my rifle, and she doesn't look very hopeful. You good to go? She asked me. We need to move on, but for some reason I can't take my eyes off the scene. My mind is reeling, trying to process it all. We leave the grisly site behind, moving into another equally destroyed area. From what I can tell, the next room was once an open area for experimentation. The place hasn't just been destroyed, it has been physically altered in a way that makes no sense. The grinders look to have been warped. To my right, a machine has been catapulted and looks to have somehow merged with the wall rather than crashing into it. Beyond these phenomena, there is the standard violence I was expecting to see. There's a limp arm sticking out from underneath the wreckage and more blood. I see no signs of an explosion, which makes me wonder just how this happened. Seeing the aftermath is sickening enough, but it makes me wonder if Amy saw it while it was happening. Did you see how the people died? I think that's a pretty good question. I only caught a glimpse of it, she says, taking a deep breath. I was closest to the exit, so I just started running. But it was like trying to focus on your eye. It was trying to focus your eye on something that was too close. People's bodies just started twisting and turning. And the thing that did this, it looked like she doesn't finish. She's cut off by some sound echoing through the facility. It comes from behind us and slightly to the right. I'm not sure what it is, but it makes my blood feel like ice. It sounds almost like static from an AM radio. But there's a high-pitched noise beneath it that I can't even start to fathom. What in the hell is that? I ask, instantly clapping my hands to my ears. One of them, Amy says, her voice in a whisper. One of the creatures. That's what they sound like, Dennis asks. I see that he's leaning against the wall again, wincing at the noise. I suddenly realize that I have a death grip on my rifle, ready to shoot the next thing I see. Anything between us and them? Not really, she says. None of the hallways are blocked off by secure doors. Everyone seems to take this as the cue to start moving again. We make our way around the office wreckage now with new purpose in our step. We barely make it to the other side of the room, approaching a dark hallway, when another high-pitched noise sounds out. This one's louder, closer. We all share a terrified look, and I can tell that Amy is on the verge of losing it. I grip the rifle tightly as we head towards the hallway in front of us. Can you kill these fucking things? Because it seems like that's what I'm gonna get first. I don't know, Amy says. Dennis speaks up, his voice like ice. Then let's haul ass, huh? No one says anything after that, but I can feel the presence of terror around us, pressing in on us, like some new violent gravity. Oh my god. What in the hell? The small utility hallway is well lit. It looks as if it was designed to only be used by select maintenance workers. What goes on in this area? I ask. I'm looking at Marcus as I ask the question, but he only shrugs in response. She might know, he replies, pointing to Amy. I've never been down here before. It's just a utility hallway, Amy says. But at the end there's a maintenance room. There should be a gun or two in there. It's also the most direct path to the hangar entrance. As we walk quickly and quietly down the hall, I take a glimpse ahead and feel the hair on the back of my neck stand on end. The lights become sparsely spaced, and it's impossible to see just how far the hall extends into the darkness. This hallway has the occasional trace of bloodshed, but nothing like the main area we've come from. We continue further down, and just as I begin to see what looks like a large metal door further ahead, I hear yet another shrill sound. This one sounds further away, but no less demonic. How many of these things did you see? Dennis asked Amy. 3, but that's just what I saw. There could be more. What did they look like? Dennis asks. Yeah, what are we dealing with here? I want to know. I want answers, damn it. I don't even know how to explain them, she says. Monsters. It's the only word I can think of. My mind seemed to struggle just trying to understand what I was seeing. They're big and they seem to jerk around every few feet or so. They look like they're made of light.
that's about all I know for sure. You know, my ex-husband always said I'd let my work kill me, she continues, seemingly unable to stop herself. I mean, I doubt he imagined this exact scenario, but still. As we make our way to the hangar doors, another high-pitched noise rings out, angrier now. Amy stops, causing all of us to stop and turn to her. We have to do something to slow these things down, she says. No, Marcus snaps. There's no time. We need to distance ourselves and get to the hangar fast. Amy ignores him, deep in thought. There's an old hydraulic door set into the wall right there. It hasn't been used for years, though. She looks at me, pleading her case. Together we might be able to pull it closed behind us to keep those things back. Those old hydraulic doors weigh a ton, Marcus said. There's no way it'll work. Roger, Amy says. What do you think? They'll have a harder time getting to us if those doors are locked. Look, Marcus shouts, turning to me. We need to get to that hangar now. Let's close the doors first. Let's just see. Damn it, Marcus says. We don't have time for this. Amy ignores him and starts feeling along the hallway door for a group. Dennis and I start looking as well. A minute passes and I see a small metal frame that runs from the floor to the ceiling. Is that it? I ask. Yes, Amy says. I look to the floor and see an old metal track that runs along the frame. Let's move it, I say. Amy, Dennis, and I start pulling as hard as we can, but it barely budges an inch. Behind us, that static noise rings out again. My heart seems to stutter and Marcus lets out a little whine. We're running out of time. We need to go. Marcus screams. Those things are getting closer every second. Help us. It won't make a difference, he says. Shut up and help us and then we'll find out, I shout. Reluctantly, Marcus walks over and grasps the door. We all groan as we strain to pull. It starts inching slowly and then begins moving steadily. Once we get it started, it slides easily. As we near the wall closing off the hallway behind us, I think I can see the merest glimpse of an old illuminated shape in the darkness. It's cut off by the slight thump of the hydraulic door being pushed against the frame in the opposite wall. Amy turns the lock in place. Great. Now let's haul ass, says Marcus. We all turn again, moving again, still feeling unsure of our prospects. The fact that yet another shrill noise sounds out elsewhere in the facility is not calming. And then there are two of them. It's almost like they're calling out to one another. The door to the hangar is set up ahead like the entrance to some enormous labyrinth. Labyrinth? I don't know. When we reach the hangar doors, I get a true sense of how impenetrable they are. A computer terminal is mounted on the wall nearby and has a blinking red light. Any idea what this means? I ask. It's an automatic lock, a fail-safe from the lockdown, says Amy. I've never been down here before, Marcus says. If I had known this door was here, I would have opened it earlier. How? Amy asks. The fear in her voice is more present than ever. From the command center, he says. You need to override from there first, then use this terminal to open the hangar doors. The command center is on the second floor, I ask. Yeah. Amy shakes her head and lets out a nervous laugh. Are you kidding? She asks. We just pulled the hydraulic door and blocked off the hallway, remember? If we want to get in the hangar, we have to get back to the command center, Marcus says. Isn't there another way? Turning to Marcus, Amy replies, well, there is another elevator, but we'll need to go through biochem storage. I need to stay with Dennis so he can get rest. I say, you two go. You know your way around this place, and you know the controls, Marcus. Fine, Marcus says, but we need to be armed. Giving it to Amy. Fuck you, Marcus. I hand Amy the rifle and she turns to go. Marcus gives me a concerned look, but follows along behind her. Once Amy and Marcus make it a good distance down the hallway, Dennis lets out a nervous laugh. And then there were two, he says. Dennis looks much battered, but he still needs to use the wall to stay standing. Didn't Amy say that there were guns and emergency kits in the maintenance room near the hangar doors? I ask. Yeah, I think so, Dennis says, looking exhausted. I look ahead and see a door to the right that says maintenance. Might as well give it a try. I go to the door, try to open it, find out that it's locked. Push it with your shoulder. I give it a hard shove, but it doesn't budge. I'm about to try again, but that's when I hear a gunshot from just down the hallway. My first thought is Amy and Marcus have come up on one of those things, one of the monsters. But I don't hear any of that strange static sound I've come to associate them with. Alarm bells go off in my head, and before I know it, I'm heading back down the hall away from the hangar doors. Stay here, I'll be right back. I whisper over my shoulder to Dennis. See if you can figure out how to get into that maintenance room. Where are you going? He asked. I don't bother answering him as I bound through the door where Amy and Marcus went. As I enter the biochem room and start walking between the massive silos, I wonder what classified chemicals could be inside of them. I am fully expecting one of Amy's creatures to come flying out from the intersection of the halls up ahead. I think I overhear a woman's voice. It's Amy. Stop. Let go of the gun. I run ahead so fast that I almost trip over two people in a life or death struggle. My mind tries to process what I'm seeing, but it makes no sense. None at all. Marcus is wrestling with Amy, trying to take her gun away. When this doesn't work, he throws her to the ground and starts choking her. Her face is turning purple and her eyes look like they might pop out of her head. Marcus sees me coming down the hallway, but asks if what he is doing is perfectly normal. I start rushing towards him before I really know what I'm doing. I bring my fist down in a hard arc across the bridge of his nose and am rewarded with a sick cracking sound. He cries out as he falls to the ground, looking at me as if he doesn't understand why I punched him. On the floor, Amy clutches her neck and gasps for breath. I start to fear that I was a moment too late, just as I see that the rifle had been thrown across the floor. Marcus seems to notice this at the exact moment that I do. Hit Marcus and then go for the rifle. I deliver a surprisingly strong blow with my right hand, clipping his chin from my awkward position. I'm in the process of planting a knee in his chest to hold him down when his left foot comes out of nowhere, landing hard. The kick catches me squarely in my ribs, knocking the breath out of me. What the hell are you doing? He yells at me. By killing her, I'm saving us, all of us. This was her fault. I sense that he truly believes this, but if that's the case, then why not just attack her when we were all together? The answer is simple. We might have stopped him. He wanted to kill her in private, and then what? Would he have done the same to Dennis and me? It seems fitting, really. When we first came upon Marcus, he had held a gun to us. I'd been so relieved to see another human being that I had underestimated just how unhinged he was. Marcus and I both dive for the rifle, still laying on the floor, and start wrestling for possession, but I am not confident I'll come away with him. As we struggle, he starts inching the muzzle of the gun towards my face, a position I do not want to be in. I start pushing back hard. But if this thing accidentally fires, I'm not sure where I'd prefer the bullet to go, especially in this room full of chemical tanks. I know I said I wanted to wrap this up today, but my camera's about to die, and I've been going for an hour now. So, one more episode, and that'll be it. So, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.